Become a wealth creator today. Text VISIT to 800-454-1184 to schedule your 15-minute call with Eric and his team. That's VISIT to 800-454-1184.
If you're a parent, you know firsthand we want even better for our children in life than we want for ourselves, right? But let me ask you this. Compared to your parents, how are you feeling about your financial position? If you're like most Americans, you may feel like you do have it tougher, not easier. Welcome to Wealth Creator Radio. On our show today, that's what we're going to talk about. There's a major new poll that says most Americans feel they are worse off than their parents were when it comes to being prepared for retirement. So Eric Heckman, of course, he's a certified financial planner and he is president of Heckman Financial. He's going to take us through what Americans are thinking. Are they right or wrong? And some of the steps that you can take to better prepare yourself so you don't feel like you're in such a bind. Let's start off with the phone number like we always do. 800-454-1184. You can call or text the word VISIT to get on their calendar. It's a complimentary appointment. Call or text. The other thing you can do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Great resources in that toolbox kit that we have for you. We'll be talking about it throughout our show. Remember to check out our podcast every Tuesday morning. We have the entire latest version of our radio show, always posted at 9 a.m. So if you miss part of our show, you can get the full thing there. Just search for Wealth Creator Radio anywhere you get podcasts or on YouTube. And with all of that, wealthcreatorradio.com is the website. And Eric, so excited to get started today.
Yeah, Luann, it's been a lot of changing here with interest rates starting to move. And then, of course, we don't know what's going to go on with the election here, but we'll see how that all plays out, right?
I know, right? Only days away, practically, we're talking down under 50, under 30 now. Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay, tell us about this new poll that I mentioned, how younger Americans are seeing retirement now, Eric.
Anytime you talk about younger people and talk about retirement, they always, I think, overestimate where they're going to be. And so, but, there's obviously a lot of doubt too, because of they know it's going to be harder. And so 82% of American workers say comfortable retirement's a lot harder than it was for their parents. And that's one of the things that, they've said is all the parents will, of course, always want your kids be in a better position, but they actually feel like they're worse off, which actually I don't know if that's necessarily true because a lot of them actually do have a lot cushier starts than they don't realize that their parents had. So, I think we all kind of think things are always harder than they used to be or type of stuff. But with all the technology and all this other stuff that makes life easier, there's a lot of stuff that's simpler too. So a little bit of both.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay, so this new survey is from CNBC, believe it or not. Putting it simply, they're saying that younger Americans are less confident. But what do you think? What do you think? Are younger Americans, do you think they're right in feeling that they're worse off when it comes to retirement?
Well, I think home affordability has definitely been one thing that's been talked about a ton, that it is a lot harder, right? And, and depending on how much student debt and all that other stuff they came out with, but some of that's okay. Are they getting a real good job, or that did they get something that's useful, and stuff. So sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, you got a degree, but you probably won't ever get hired in that degree. So let's go find yourself a regular job that gets you pay. But also I think a lot of people just say, oh, things are hard, so that's why I'm not going to save, and they use it kind of as an excuse for not saving. So it doesn't look the same as it once did. I mean, everything, of course. None of us are going to have pensions, or for the most part, unless you're government or teaching and stuff. So it's all going to be on you. And are you putting money away? Have you started funding at least that Roth 401k, or at least Roth IRA? Even if you're just in the gig economy, you can still be funding a Roth. And so if you're not putting at least $7,000 away for that, that's not that much money. You can afford that. You can cut out some. Starbucks, cut out some door dashing or whatever, go pick up your own food and save some money. So, there's a lot of things you could do to make sure you actually put some money away for yourself. And so, I think that's one of the problems is a lot of us say, oh, we're going to do this later and later. Well, I mean, it's amazing when you just look at the differences of just somebody funding a retirement plan for, just a few years in their 30s. it would take somebody in their 50s, double the contributions for a lot longer, just equal the same money because of that whole time value of money, right? It doesn't have that runway to get to be bigger. So that's one of the problems is people just need to start planning. So it all goes back to having a plan. And even if you're 50, 55 and you kind of get nervous because you're getting close to retirement, you haven't saved enough and you're behind, well, all the more reason to do a plan, not just to hide and, do the ostrich plan where you ignore it, right? So that's one of the things that we've done is we've created a lot of great resources. Well, will your money last as long as you do? When should you time your Social Security? Are you going to pay too much money in taxes? Even a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, and a way to set a time to visit with me, Eric Heckman. All that is sitting easily accessible to anyone. All you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And right there on wealthcreatorradio.com, Eric holds many events throughout the year. You can find out those details. Sign up for them on that website. All kinds of great topics like we always discuss on our show, okay? You can take time to go to those events and sign up for them on their website. Thank you for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. Eric, one of the key aspects that were mentioned in this survey is debt. So let's talk about that for a moment, the role that debt plays when it does come to younger generations planning for retirement.
No, definitely. One of the events, speaking of the events that we've been doing is we have a movie I hope to be an executive producer on called The Psychology of Retirement. And the amazing differences of the one lady who talks about, I think 100,000 should last me. And then there's somebody else who has, I've saved up $1 million and I don't know if it's going to last long enough for me. And so lots of times education is one thing, right? Figuring stuff out, but no, debt can be like one of those really things that sneaks up and gets you. The whole keeping up with everybody else, trying to, show off on social media what you own and all these silly stuff. Yeah. The more debt you have, it's just a tax to keep you poor, basically. That's really the best way to think about it. So there's good debt, like mortgage debt, right? That helps you buy a place, get you in there. But credit card debt, no. Especially now with rates being higher, even if they're starting to drop a little bit, those are still astronomically high. It's just not something you should do. So, the hard part is we have this whole tap culture, right? Where you just tap your credit card and you don't feel it and stuff. So, if you really want to really feel how much you're spending, switch to cash. Take that money out of the bank and count those 20s out, and you'll be surprised at how much less you spend. But yeah, there's a lot of people. I guess the average, according to that study, was 30,000 of basically credit card debt that people are keeping on hand, and that's a ton of money to be paying that usually 20+% interest rate on. So
right,
yeah, you gotta get that paid off and. First pay off the debt and then build up, first actually kind of at the same time, pay off the debt, but also build up your savings. Because if you don't build up your savings, you're just going to go right back into debt.
Mm-hmm. So true. My husband and I did just that. Yeah, we went to cash envelopes. I do the old, the Dave Ramsey, all my allowance and our groceries and everything are cash. And then I don't fall into that. Just spend. I want to get to real quick longevity. Does that have a role in the concerns for the younger future retirees?
Yeah, it definitely should be because, in 1950, it was people were living 65 to 71. In 91, it was 71, 79. You can see how that just keeps going up and up, right? Mm-hmm. Now, if they redid that today, yeah, you're talking probably easily 80s. For the average person, which means a lot of people will live past that average. So yeah, that's why you need to really be planning now and having that plan where that money's going to last for the rest of your life. There's some great tools out there. There's some great options. But again, it starts with education. So, I think the first thing to do is get some of these white papers that we have, these really quick downloads are, 10 to 15 page, no jargon, just tells you what it is, the stuff you need to know for retirement. Again, a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth. All you have to do is text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Do you know whether your retirement plan has any weak points? Discover ways on giving your financial future the proper tune-up. Simply go online to wealthcreatortoolbox.com to gain a better understanding in taxes, Social Security, and other ways to manage your portfolio.
And that's how it's done.
That's wealthcreatortoolbox.com.
Hello, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, and we are so happy you joined us today. When you plan for retirement, you probably need to consider all the risks that your money may face, because if you don't take steps to help preserve that money from risk, then your whole retirement plan could be at risk. So let's get into that, Eric. What are some of the biggest potential threats to our retirement income? You've seen it all over the years.
Oh, certainly. One's longevity. That one always reminds me of a guy who I met when I was, probably pretty early on in my career, but he had told me he turned on Social Security at 62 because his CDs were all paying 8%. and you can tell what happened to his CDs, right? Once they hit, well, I think when we met, they were down to 4 before they went down to 1 and 2, right? And now they've of course come back, but I don't think he's still probably around because he was in his 70s or 80s older, 30 years ago. So,
right.
So that's one risk is how long is that money going to last? Obviously, diversification. We all know about that, not having all your eggs in one basket, but sometimes you work for a company and it looks great. It's doing great. And sometimes it goes for a long time, but sometimes those companies also flip the other direction, right? And that stock tanks out. And, and then of course, taxes are always a drawdown on your retirement. And, lots of times it's just simply not being prepared, not having a plan, not knowing what's going on. Not realizing stuff until tax time, which of course is kind of silly because then it's too late.
Yeah, that's all looking back. Yeah.
Right. So you have to be looking forward to make sure that you have a plan that's really, concrete, that's going to work. And you can't just kind of play it by ear because that's very dangerous.
Exactly. Being unprepared. And that's why we do this show to help people understand what they need to prepare for. One of the biggest fears we know that Americans have about retiring is running out of money while in retirement. So I want you to talk about why so many people are worried about outliving their savings.
It should be something that you should be concerned about, right? Because, you don't know how long you're going to be around. And now people, what used to kill you, now you just take a pill. And and so, you might be, there for 3 or 4 decades, right? Retired. And that's a long time for that money to last. And, I had a client, Beth, she'd come in and she'd been retired for now, I think, probably about 10 years. And her big thing was she's always worried about, should I go get the Costco shopping cart? Because if you're going to get a shopping cart, you might, I guess you want the big one.
Because you're going to buy a lot. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
No, for her to live with, to push around her stuff, because she's always worried she's going to run out of money and be on the streets. And,
oh my goodness.
And it's actually, been a thing that's popped up in surveys, is people worried about just living on the streets because they run out of money. And and her expenses, she even said, have almost doubled since she retired. And she's not doing extravagant, crazy stuff. It's just, things get more expensive. So, luckily, her money's been holding pretty well. And, she actually had even done some math on her own, and we hadn't dropped very much from when we first retired. And so, so it is good to be looking backward like that. But the better part is we're really good that she had a plan to make sure that money lasts. And a lot of the stuff that we had set up for her is now on lifetime payouts. So that was the other part too, is some of these stuff's guaranteed to last for as long as she does. So, I kept having to reassure her, nope, you don't need to go figure out which shopping cart's got the best wheels and stuff. So you're fine.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, wonderful. You were able to kind of talk her down, calm her down, We always talk about Fidelity telling us that a 65-year-old couple is going to spend about $315,000 on healthcare in retirement, and it does not include long-term care. So I know healthcare is part of your blueprint to worryless wealth. How do you help your retirees prepare for those costs in retirement?
Yeah, there's obviously not much you can do about it. It's just going to happen. But, you can do some stuff ahead of time. If you had like a health savings account while you're working, before you're retired, that money you can keep in retirement. But beyond that, you just have to budget it. It has to be in part of that gap that you have, that you budget some money for a fund, right? For vacations and stuff. You got to budget money for, the less fun stuff, right? all the healthcare items and, and so, you need to have that included because it is going to be something that's going to always be there. It's going to probably never get cheaper. Right. And so, we need to have that, accounted for. So when we're building out the income plan, we're looking at that fund, the healthcare, just healthcare premiums, all those things. And then running that all out with inflation and making sure that money is going to last for as long as you're going to last, and with taxes and everything included. And then you can figure out where your investments should be. You can look at the tax ramifications. How can we lower taxes over the rest of our lifetime? Obviously these healthcare issues, and then also legacy. Who's going to get your stuff after you're gone? How do you avoid fees and costs and probate fees and lawyer fees? So, that's the 5 areas we always look at. When we first talk with somebody, we just look at their situation, and usually we'll have a 15 to 30 minute phone call just to find out what's going on, what their concerns are. And then from there, if it makes sense, we'll build that blueprint. Right now we're waiving that blueprint fee of up to $1,500. So we're just going to help people do that because I'm on a mission to help 1,001 people retire by 2031. So we don't mind putting some of our hours behind it and telling you what's going on. But, then of course at the end of that second meeting, that's when you can decide if you want to work with us or not. So again, it's a great process. If you wanted to set up a time to talk, all you have to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit, 800-454-1184, or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
And you are listening to Wealth Creator Radio. That's what Eric wants to do, is help you create wealth for your retirement. So we're so happy that you joined us today. And we are talking about the risks in retirement. Another risk is inflation, right? I mean, it just happens, I look back to when I was a kid, and I, of course, remember what candy and stuff like that costs. But then, of course, as I've raised my kids and now, done grocery shopping, I certainly understand when milk gets so expensive. So it's something that we're going to see. You would say that's another risk, right, that we need to consider in retirement, inflation?
Yeah, well, like I said with Beth, she was saying how her costs have doubled in 10 years, and that's sadly fairly typical. I mean, things definitely go up, and a lot of things you didn't necessarily plan for too. So, it's just something where you have to have, every income plan has to have an increasing amount for inflation. You can't just just like regular life, right? Can you imagine trying to live on your salary that you had 30 years ago today? Probably not, right? So same difference here. You have to make sure that money's increasing all the time, and that has to be part of that plan.
Very, very good. So the other thing, tax planning, we were just saying, when you get your taxes done, you're looking back on the year. So that lack of tax planning, if you're not doing what we're talking about, having strategies, that can really impact a retirement too. And that's another risk.
Yeah. So when you first retire, there's kind of a couple phases. So the first one is, lots of times people will retire and they haven't turned on Social Security, and maybe they're living off of savings or stocks that they'd sold or other things for that first year. And so their taxes could be very low that year. Well, that might be a great year to do some tax planning, right? And do some Roth conversions. That next, after that next phase is when you have Social Security turned on. Well, now you've got a baseline of income that's going to be coming in. And then, of course, down the road at either 73 or 75, that's when you have required minimum distributions, where you have to be taking money out of those retirement accounts. And that's going to be definitely your higher brackets. So depending on how you're going to structure that, you can do a lot of tax planning, but you need to have a financial advisor who knows taxes, who knows what they're doing in taxes there. We want to have you pay the least tax over your lifetime, not for 1 year. And big difference between the two. So yeah, taxes, you can pick your own taxes in retirement. It sounds like a weird thing, but depending on which bucket you take money from, that's going to dictate how that tax bill is going to look like. And and that's one of the things that I think is probably most shocking to a lot of my clients who have retired, is how complicated retiring becomes, because they thought, like taxes before when you were working, it's just where's your W-2 and, all your other stuff. But it was pretty easy. Now it's like, well, hold it. If I take money from here, this is what happens. If I take money from here, then this happens. And so sometimes, you can structure it right where you don't pay tax on your Social Security for maybe a year or two. And, but it takes planning ahead of time. So that one, you really need to figure out, either December or January for that year, how you're going to take the money out. I mean, December for the following year or January for that same year. And, you can't do this in looking backward because, it caused the tax hit, right?
It's too late. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too late. So that's one of the biggest things that I think people really need to know is how they can lower their taxes again, over their lifetime, not just 1 year. So, we've got a lot of great info set up at our digital toolbox, and you can figure out how to pay less. And, are you paying too much taxes in retirement? It's one of the downloads that you can get real quick. So all you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Be sure to like and subscribe to Wealth Creator Radio so you can stay up to date on ways to build your wealth and create a retirement you and your family will enjoy for years to come. Like and subscribe today and create your wealth for tomorrow with Wealth Creator Radio.
Hi, we're so glad to have you here with us today. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman. We're outlining the different risks to your retirement income. So I'm sure you're finding this very interesting. Outliving your savings is a big concern for all of us. But if you're so worried about outliving your savings, can that cause you to underspend in retirement, Eric?
Wow, this seems like it shouldn't be a big issue, but it's a monster issue. I cannot believe how many people that I have that don't do stuff, and you kind of go, you've got the money.
Why?
Do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had one couple that she was part Native American, and she started getting all this money from this tribe casino thing, and I mean, big money, like sometimes up to 6 figures a year. It was kind of crazy, and as her husband would joke, he married her for the money. It just took 40 years to show up. But but they had a wall heater for their entire house. They didn't even have forced air that, and then in the summer they didn't have AC. And it's like the amount of money that was going to cost them was going to be like 3 or 4 weeks of her money that she got from the tribe. And I'm like, go ahead, spend it. That's what it's there for, right? You're just building up too much. And I've seen that over and over. And I had one client that she inherited her mom's house. And I mean, it was right when real estate was super going crazy. And her and her sister got both 7 figures out of this house that when her mom sold it, after they sold it after she passed away. But her mom didn't want to do anything. They kept bugging her mom about doing these trips, and then she got too old and couldn't do these trips. And, it really frustrated her because she's like, she left us all this money, which is great, but she didn't do the stuff she wanted to do. So, so sometimes it is really hard for people, believe it or not, to actually spend money. It seems like a weird thing, but until they understand it, or they just need to go. Somebody needs to. I try to give them permission. Go have fun. Go do it. But it is weirder issue than you think it would be, because you think it's easy to tell somebody to spend money, but no, it's actually sometimes the hardest.
Right, and that's what you do as you help them create that spending plan. You show them, you're good. Like you said, spend confidently.
Yeah, I mean, because the nice thing is when we're meeting with them and checking back in, if all the monies are going up and their amount of money lasts even longer, it's like what. Are you going to go do some fun? Are you going to go do these things? Because, I had one client who kept wanting to work, and he worked all the way till 70. I mean, he had enough money, but then by the time he retired, he had a bunch of leg issues that he was working with, and he couldn't do some of these trips that he wanted to do anymore because he waited so long. And so, the other thing too is health, it will change, right, for all of us over time. And so that's the other problem is sometimes people want to wait to do these things later. Well, once they feel confident enough about their money lasting, now they're too, physically they're not able to do the stuff that they wanted to do. So yeah, it is a weird thing, but that's why the income plan that we develop, as part of the blueprint, we can show you that, you're going to be fine. So go ahead, have some fun on there, and also just having a dollar figure to it too. A lot of times I like to call it a fun fund. So if you gonna spend whatever it is, 10, 15, 20,000 a year on a big trip or something, let's have it accounted for. Let's have it in the budget. Have that number in there, and then you're supposed to go do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that's for. I love it. Should people be invested differently in retirement because they are afraid to lose any money,
Oh, yeah. Well, that's the other big problem is people have been going one direction for 30, 40 years, right? They've been just putting money away. And all you cared about was grow, grow, grow. But now, no, that money has to come out. That money, you can't just say, oh, I'm not retired this month.
Right.
That's just not how it works, right? Or I don't need to pay my bills this month. I'll wait for the market to come back. No, you cannot wait for the market to come back in retirement. You got to have that money. So that's why I specialize really only in people that are, late 50s, early 60s, doing that shift into retirement, because now we're having to restructure stuff. We're having to slowly move that stuff into the right allocation. And that right allocation has to include non-market stuff. So everything in your 401k is either stocks and bonds. That's all markets, all risk. 100% of that money can go down, in any one year. So one of the things we need to do is we need to have some money in foundational assets. So stuff that can't go away. So in those bad years, which about 2 out of every 10 are bad years in the market. And so we know they're going to come. And we need to have a spot to go grab that money so we can pivot in those bad years, take it from the guaranteed sources. In the good years, you take it from the market. And then you want to have about 10 or 20% of your money in a category kind of in between, which I like to call steady income money. And steady income money is stuff that's usually less volatile assets, stuff that pays really good dividends, anywhere from about 6 to 10%, ideally monthly or quarterly. And so that one's always giving you cash flow. So there's always some money coming in because, again, you need to take money out every month, not just some months, but every month. So, so if you've got that, then you're prepared. It's just like, my boys were all in scouts. I was a scout, but scout motto is be prepared. We need to be prepared for all those good years, bad years, and in between years. And so, you have that market money, but you need to have steady income money, and you certainly have to have some foundational money. And if you don't set those up right, it's going to be really ugly, in those bad years. You want diversification, not desperation in terms of your retirement, right?
Exactly.
And so one of the things that we've set up is a lot of great tools in our digital toolbox. We've got stuff like, will your money last as long as you do? Are you paying too much in taxes in retirement? The Social Security decision. These are really super quick reads, not jargony stuff, just stuff that give you some great info. And then you can either get a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, or even set a time to talk. So, if you want to get a hold of all that great data, it's super easy. All you do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Yeah, this is what Eric does. He helps people retire well every day. That's his goal for you. 30 years and counting. And Eric's system is working very, very well, helping retirees every day. So make sure you put that phone number in your phone, have it near you so you can text him and get this toolkit complimentary. And thanks for joining us. This is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman right here in Silicon Valley. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. So, Eric, here's a question for you. What if someone is not interested in investing in the markets in retirement? What are some other options for them?
Yeah, no, there are some great options, especially now. I mean, there's been so many more better designed products that are for people that don't want to have a ton of risk, right? They want to make sure that, hey, that making that 1 or 2% more compared to losing 10 or 20%. I just can't handle it. Right. I want the kiddie roller coaster. I don't want I don't want the ones that flips and does corkscrews and all that stuff. I can't handle it. And so, no, there are a lot of great options out there. These are tools that often the principal is guaranteed, but they pay a rate based on the stock market indexes. So when those indexes go up, it's kind of like going upstairs. You go up and you keep going up each year. But if there's a down year, it's just flat. It's like going on a landing on a staircase. You just walk over sideways and then you take off, from there. So those accounts can be really good because of, their principal's protected, but you're also going to earn, on average, some pretty good interest rates. So there's a lot of things out there, a lot more than just those tools. But yeah, that's where talking with somebody like us can really help you out. I had somebody from the radio call me up, Dennis, and he hadn't saved enough in early in retirement. He didn't always have great employment. So now he's in his 50s. He's kind of, all in, trying to shovel all that money into retirement. Right.
Yep.
And so, he's been doing that and being able to fund that and catch up. But we were able to figure out that, he's on a pretty good track for retirement as long as he keeps doing this. But, that's why you want to have that income plan, that discussion, and figure out, are you on the right path or not? So again, we've got a lot of great things in the toolbox. You can set up a time to talk. You can get a copy of our book. But lots of great quick downloads. All you have to do is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
Imagine your first day of retirement. What do you see? Let's turn that vision into reality. The first step, get Eric Heckman's Wealth Creator Toolbox. In it, you'll get information on some of the biggest challenges you'll face in retirement. Request your Wealth Creator Toolbox now by texting the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. That's toolbox to 800-454-1184.
Hello, I'm Lou Ann Fulmer here with Eric Heckman, president at Heckman Financial, where their mission is to get you to and through a worry-less wealth retirement. All right. A lot of quotes that sometimes are just stick in your head, whether they were from a grandparent or maybe your mom or your dad or maybe even a famous person, somebody just who offered some wisdom that has stuck with you your whole life. Some words of wisdom can stand the test of time. And Eric, that's what we're going to do right now, go over some timeless advice and how it can relate to retirement. We've done this before. This is just a little different version. All right. So Benjamin Franklin, obviously one of America's founding fathers, an inventor, very famous American. He said this, Eric, an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. So tell us how this could relate to retirement.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely need to know what's going on. You need to know, what are all the issues there. And, one of the biggest ones would be things like taxes, right? A lot of people know to save money, know to put money away, but they don't even think about the taxes in retirement. And taxes in retirement can be one of the biggest factors on your retirement. Probably is the biggest factor of your retirement success after, having some money there. Just because of if all of a sudden tax rates go up, all that money that was pre-tax now just all got higher tax bills, right? And, all that returns just dropped. So that's one of the things that I think people don't understand is they don't understand, should I be doing Roth conversions? Should I be, looking at tax stuff and, all these things? Well, how do you learn about that? Knowledge, right? You gotta have some education. Yeah. So, so that's where lots of times asking somebody like a financial advisor to tell you what you don't know that you don't know. Because if you don't know it, how would you know to ask about it, right? So so that's the only way to do it is getting some fresh pair of eyes. Will always be amazing because they'll always point out some stuff that you didn't catch on your own. Yeah,
so true. That's why I always say, I'd much rather have somebody guide me through retirement like you, Eric, somebody who's done this. Goodness sakes, you've done this for 30 years and your system is working very well. And it would be so nice to have someone answer the questions that I have. Going it alone is tough because you got to know it all. And that's tough to do that on your own. All right, we're going through timeless advice that relates to retirement. Here's another quote. This is from Maya Angelou. Of course, she was a famous poet, award-winning, by the way, a civil rights activist as well. And she said, "You can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off of you." So what do you think about this one, Eric?
No, I mean, I think it's great for especially work advice, right? So, but it can also be translated to retirement because lots of times, I mean, I was just talking recently with a client and, well, yeah, he retired from a fruit company in Cupertino, I guess we'll call it.
Okay.
No, right. No, I guess we can say Apple, but yeah,
Fruit
so
company.
so yeah, he when he just retired, I don't know, a few months back, and you could tell he was a little a little anxiety ridden of what is he supposed to be doing now, right? What's the next thing? And I think people need to figure that out before they retire, or definitely right when they retire. Is what are you going to be now? Now it's not about money. Now it's about how do you make a difference, or how do you do the stuff you love to do, and how do you have fun in a new way, right? So I think figuring out your purpose and your goal is a huge thing, not just while you're working, but especially when you're retired, because there's a lot of fun stuff you could be doing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm kind of, I'm 65, so I won't be retiring for a while, but I am thinking about how I'm a little nervous, about what am I going to do with all my free time? I'm probably be excited, but I think I'm still going to work a little bit, Eric. I think I do I love getting up and going to work. So that'll be, kind of just redefining, I guess, my life. That's going to be interesting. But anyway, thank you for that. Okay, here's another quote for us as we're digging into some timeless advice from famous people. Paul Samuelson was the first American to win the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences. He did a bunch of fundamental contributions to nearly all branches of economic theory. He said investing should be more like watching paint dry or watching grass grow. If you want excitement, take $800 and go to Vegas. So, Eric, talk about what he's trying to talk about here.
Well, it might need to be more than 800 nowadays, but but yeah, you want an exciting life, not an exciting portfolio. And
Yeah.
and so yeah, I think that's very, very true. And I think unfortunately a lot of people, especially with day trading and other stuff, they think it is gambling. They do think it's, well, okay, I did this and this, and of course you always remember the ones that you did great on. But then you ignore all the ones that didn't do so good, and so so that's one of the really big gotchas when you're talking about wins and losses with anytime you're talking about portfolio stuff. So it should be really just the long haul, right? Make sure it's growing, make sure it's doing okay, but yeah, don't be trying to hit the double digits every time, and you don't want to be trying to go for 00 on the roulette wheel or anything like that, right? Yeah, you want to have it boring. You want to make sure it's growing. You want to make sure it's on track, but you also want to make sure it's not going to go away. Especially if you're 50, 55 and up, that's when you need to start locking in some of those gains, because if all of a sudden it flips the other way and you're about to retire, you can't wait for that money to come back, right? You need it now. So that's what we do here at Heckman Financial. Really, is we help you figure out. Look at that blueprint for worryless wealth. We look at that income plan, that investment, tax, healthcare, and legacy plan. Those are the 5 areas you have to have a plan in. Even if you didn't intentionally have a plan, there is a plan set aside for you. So we first tell people, okay, here's the plan you have now. Here's where you're going. Here's where you're headed. And is it the place you want to go to or not? And if not, well, how do we fix it? And so that's one of the biggest things, is at least knowing if you're on track or not. So, if you want to take a little bit of time, figure out where you are along that journey, yeah, you can ask us any questions. You can actually have a call directly with me, Eric Heckman. All you have to do is text the word visit to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word visit, 800-454-1184, or book directly online at wealthcreatorradio.com.
You're listening to Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. We're going through timeless advice, and these are just words of wisdom passed down from some famous people. Here's another one. Our very first president of our country, George Washington, said, "We must consult our means rather than our wishes." Eric, what can this say about setting a budget, maybe, to cover all our anticipated expenses in retirement?
Yeah, nowadays there's just so much stuff on social media. You see all these people, yeah, of course, people only post the good stuff in life, right? They don't post all the bad stuff.
Yes, so true.
Nobody posts their credit card statement or anything like that.
No.
And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of stuff where people wish they had this, so let's go out and get it. And then they run up all these debt and all these other stuff. So, yeah, living within your means is a big deal. And you really need to know where that's at. I think it's hard for everybody to budget. But first of all, just having the reality check of how much you spend. I like to call it the no BS budget. And it's very simple. You just take your last 12 bank statements, add up all the withdrawals, and divide by 12. Now, hopefully you're paying off the credit cards. If you're leaving a credit card balance, you'll have to actually add that balance in. But if you're paying it off every month with that bank account, you don't even have to look at your credit card statement because you're paying it through the checking account. So that's the real number. And I find people guess that number off by about 20 to 40%. It's 20, 40% higher than they thought.
Yeah.
And so, you need to know that because then you know how much you're spending, right?
Mm-hmm. So true.
And so when we're talking about that budget and talking about all that stuff, well, that leads to the plan, right? It needs how do you know you're going to be on track for retirement? How are you going to know you're going to have enough money? How do you know it's going to be lasting long as you do? Well, there's an easy solution. We set up a toolbox that has all these digital downloads, some quick reads, a copy of my book, Worry Less Wealth, and even a way to set up a time to visit with me, Eric Heckman. So, if you want to do that, all you have to do is get all that information, get some education, is text the word toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word toolbox, 800-454-1184, or download directly at wealthcreatorradio.com.
If something's worth doing, it's worth doing right. There's a particular time of life this phrase couldn't be more appropriate. How can you know you'll live the retirement you've always imagined? After all, life can be so unpredictable. You've worked hard and saved. Watch your accounts go up and down with the market. Your advisor says, don't worry, you'll be fine. But you still don't feel confident. Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial has a checklist to help you find out if you're on the right track for retirement. If you can check all the boxes with confidence, you may be ready for retirement. If not, Eric can help you address any potential costly mistakes. To get Eric Heckman at Heckman Financial's complimentary checklist, call or text LIST to 800-454-1184. Call or text LIST to 800-454-1184. Firm offers insurance services. Investment advisory services offered through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Hi, this is Wealth Creator Radio with Eric Heckman. I'm Lou Ann Fulmer. Eric is president at Heckman Financial, where their mission is to get you to and through a worry-less wealth retirement. And that is why Eric does this show every week. Now, we have come to the time in our show where Eric gives us a wealth success story. So I love this because it's really a lesson that kind of gives us an example to see how things have worked out for the better for retirees. So Eric, I'm excited to see what you have for us today.
This is about a client named Larry and his wife, Mindy, and they were downsizing. And so they moved down to the Monterey Peninsula area and, helped them through the whole house sale and the taxes on that and everything. And then he was retiring at the same time. And this was a few years back. And so right as he was retiring, that next year is when he had to start doing his required minimum distributions. But his wife, Mindy's a lot younger, so we were starting to do Roth conversions and do more. She didn't have as much in IRA. And the neat thing now is since they also extended that age from 70 and a half to 72, and now it's all the way up to 73 for people who are before 1960 and 75 for after. Now she had till 73, and this year was her last year that she was able to convert everything that she had to Roth. Wow. And so the neat thing is, thankfully, due to that extension she got, that we were able to not have her have a required minimum distribution ever in her lifetime. Now, they've been having to take it out of his, and that they'll always have to do that. He had a lot more saved up. But the nice thing is, at least now she doesn't have to paying the taxes on that. So that's really money for their two daughters that are both starting to finish up school, and they're actually both going into nursing. So kind of interesting. But so the neat thing though is we had the time to plan, mainly because of the law change. And now I think if people had they come to me little before when he was about to retire right away, that we could have even done some more for him and such. So I think that's probably one of the big things to be thinking about is looking at most people say, oh, I don't want to do a Roth conversion because I have to pay tax today. Well, this is not necessarily for their kids in reality. If they had waited and converted even, had more taxes, let that money grow, they would have been probably in a higher tax bracket when they were taking out all that extra money for her. And so really what we're talking about is if you're going to take money out, say 24% bracket now and 24% bracket later, then all that growth would be tax-free if you convert it. So lots of times people they just think, oh no, I don't have to pay the tax. Well, what if that growth takes you now into the 32% bracket? And you did great on your investments, did really good in your retirement account, and guess what? Now you're going to pay a ton more tax.
Mm-hmm.
When you go from from 24 to 32, that's a 25% increase in taxes. People go, oh, it's an 8% change in bracket. No, that's 25% more tax on those other dollars. So, that's what we're trying to avoid. And again, that's what we want to help you do. So, if that's something you're interested in, you want to see how you can pay less tax, you're serious about taking some action, set up a time, 15 to 30-minute phone call with us, or just download our great tools at the Wealth Creator Toolbox by texting the word Toolbox to 800-454-1184. Again, text the word Toolbox 800-454-1184 or download directly to wealthcreatorradio.com. That's all for this week. Thanks for listening. Talk to you soon.
Information provided during Wealth Creator Radio is for illustrative purposes only and does not constitute investment, tax, or legal advice. Information has been obtained from sources that are deemed to be reliable, but their accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed. Always consult with a qualified investment, legal, or tax professional before taking any action. Annuity guarantees are based solely on the financial strength and claims-paying ability of the issuing company. Individuals should thoroughly review the contract for specific details of the product features and costs. Income payments and withdrawals from deferred annuities are generally taxable as ordinary income in the year they are taken. Eric Heckman offers investment advisory services through Heckman Financial and Insurance Services, Inc., a registered investment advisor. Any tax advice given as part of this presentation is not intended to be used and cannot be used by the taxpayer for the purpose of avoiding tax penalties or promoting, marketing, or recommending to another party any matter or transaction addressed herein. The views and opinions expressed in the program are not necessarily those of the radio station or its sponsors, and they should not construe as legal, tax, or investment advice. You should always consult the appropriate advisor before making any financial decision.